Arbaeen Walk, a life changing journey of love. Men and women, young and old, they come from different corners of the world and converge at one place. They call it heaven. It is not an excerpt from a gripping page turner, laced with figments of imagination. It is a beautiful miracle that repeats every year. If you haven't guessed already, I'm talking about the largest and the greatest rally against terrorism, extremism that take place in the second lunar month, 40 days from Ashura, which marks the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad, and his followers in the desert plains of Karbala 14 centuries ago. It is not merely a walk, it is a mark of protest against all forms and manifestations of terrorism, fascism, imperialism, despotism, and an oppression perpetuated by state and non-state actors. It is a rallying cry in support of the oppressed, weak, and powerless. It is a reaffirmation of the pledge to uphold the principles exemplified by the master of challengers in Karbala. Arbaeen Walk takes place from Najaf to Karbala, from the final resting place of the commander of faithful, Maula Ali, to the master of martyrs, Imam Hussain. It is a journey of love. The Arabic word Arbaeen translates to 40. The traditional period of mourning in Islamic culture is 40 days. As such, millions of people around the world mark the day of Arbaeen by remembering the story of Imam Hussain, his family, and his companions. Hussain ibn Ali was a 7th century revolutionary leader who made the ultimate stand for social justice against the ruler Yazid. Yazid was a corrupt ruler who was violating the basic rights and dignity of people. Yazid wanted Imam Hussain to acknowledge his rule and give credibility to his corrupt leadership. However, Imam Hussain refused to do so, based on his moral values and principles, and was killed along with his companions, holding on to their honor and dignity. After the Battle of Karbala, Yazid's men took the women and children of Imam Hussein's family as prisoners. They were degraded as they were forced to walk in chains through many towns and cities, including Damascus and Kufa, where they were abused by crowds until eventually presented to Yazid and placed in prison. Imam Hussain may have died, but his movement lived on. His sister Bibi Zainab and son Ali ibn Hussain Zainul Abidin both gave powerful speeches against Yazid in front of his ministers, calling him out on his corrupt regime and unnerving Yazid's ministers. Yazid eventually realized that if he left the family of Imam Hussain at his palace, they would humiliate him in front of his ministers even further, and was forced to free them. The family of Imam Hussain would spend their lives after the Battle of Karbala teaching people about Imam Hussein's message and his stand against corruption. It is said that the day of Arbaeen is the day on which Imam Hussein's family returned to the land of Karbala to properly bid farewell to the fallen heroes and finally grieve for their loved ones. Today, almost 1400 years later, the day of Arbaeen is remembered by millions of people around the world. It is marked as a day to pay tribute to the sacrifice of Imam Hussain for social justice. Typically, on this day, people organize large marches in cities across the world to symbolize the eternal nature of Imam Hussein's revolution and to show they stand for social justice, compassion, and dignity. In recent years, a tradition of walking 80 kilometers from Najaf, the resting place of Maula Ali, the father of Imam Hussain, to Karbala has been reignited. Every year since, the number has been rising steadily, from 17 million pilgrims to at least 25 million. People from all walks of life and all corners of globe make this journey, despite the imminent threat from terrorists who have vowed to attack the pilgrims. Along the 80-kilometer stretch from Najaf to Karbala, volunteers distribute free foods and drinks to those undertaking the pilgrimage, as well as offering places to relax, wash, and sleep. Arbaeen Day is now the largest annual peaceful gathering in the world, with numbers set to increase significantly every year. In Najaf, streets were teeming with pilgrims who had flocked from different parts of the world. Local people had set up stalls serving visitors with sweetened drinks, fruits, and snacks. I had heard about hospitality of Iraqis, and here I was experiencing it. It was a beautiful and kind gesture from complete strangers, with whom the only relation I had was love for Ahl Bayt. We happened to be the devotees of a man who was known in the city of Kufa as the father of orphans, for his nobility and large-heartedness. The food stalls were all around me, and the food was being served with love and warmth. But somehow my hunger had fizzed out. I just wanted to reach the shrine of Imam Ali. It was a walking distance from the terminal, and I took steps as briskly as I possibly could. The crowd kept swelling in around me, and my marathonesque speed diminished. It seemed the whole world had converged there. There are many small, winding lanes around the shrine, and all of them were crammed with people. After much labor, I reached a point where I could see the beautiful golden dome of the shrine giving out its radiance. I momentarily stood still and had a long, sharp look at it. It was a moment I had waited for so long. The walk continued uninterrupted until I reached close to the shrine. The next challenge was to go inside the shrine. I stood at the imposing gates with barely any space to put my foot down. A few moments later, a tsunami of people pushed me towards the main hall of the magnificent shrine. Tears yelled from my eyes irrepressibly. Here I was, in the city of my Imam, inside his shrine, beneath his dome, right in front of his grave. I wanted to believe what I was seeing, feeling, and experiencing. I wanted to believe that it was real, not a dream. Inside the shrine, I saw people of different nationalities, different languages, different skin colors, different age groups, crying, screaming, smiling, beaming, a whole range of pure human emotions. Ya Ali was reverberating from all corners. A chant that has a universal appeal, a slogan you associate with the campaigner of truth and justice everywhere. My 2 days in Najaf gave me a lifetime of memories to cherish. I felt at home. I never felt that way anywhere else until I reached Karbala. The walk to heaven. It was finally time to head towards the land that I had heard about, read about, and thought about. The land soaked in the blood of 72 martyrs, including the grandson of the Apostle of God. Whenever we talk about Karbala, our eyes turn moist. Karbala is an idea, a concept, and a movement that will always have significance and relevance. Imam's uprising in those desert plains should strengthen our resolve to speak the truth to the power and to be the voice of the voiceless, to campaign for truth and justice. Imam Hussain as-salam gave blood, and Bibi Zainab became an eloquent tongue of that blood. Arbaeen Walk is an endeavor that seeks to keep alive the movement of Karbala, to convey the message of blood to future generations. It is a movement against terrorism, fascism, despotism. It is a movement that seeks to safeguard and promote human values of love and compassion and condemn bigotry, tyranny, and exploitation of powerful elites. It is a movement for humanity, and its appeal cuts across the barriers of religion, caste, color, and creed, which is precisely why non Shias, or for that matter, even non Muslims, join the greatest march on earth. For 1 week prior to Arbaeen, every day tens of thousands walk towards Karbala from Najaf. We began our walk 3 days before Arbaeen from the compound of Maula Ali's shrine. The streets were swarming with people wearing black dresses, holding flags, banners, and placards, chanting Labbaik Ya Hussain. It was not a dream anymore. I believed what I was seeing. The whole journey of 80 kilometers, 50 miles from Najaf to Karbala is marked with 1452 poles, corresponding with number of years that have passed since the tragic event of Karbala. It takes about 2 days and 2 nights to cover the stretch depending on the pace of walk and stoppages in between. All these years, people have been going on this pilgrimage despite the Daesh presence in the country, which is quite remarkable. Only those with unflinching faith and unshakable conviction are capable of taking such huge risks. It is safe to suggest that this greatest protest against terrorism was a key factor in eliminating the dreaded terrorist group from Iraq. On the way, I witnessed many incredible scenes. I saw a young man carrying elderly mother on his shoulders. I saw a father pushing a wheelchair with a physically impaired son perched on it. I saw a 3-year-old girl standing on a bench in the middle of the night offering sweets to travelers. I saw families walking together. A grandfather holding the hand of his granddaughter, singing soul-stirring elegies in memories of martyrs of Karbala. Millions of people walking towards Karbala had different nationalities, came from different cultures, spoke different languages. But what united them was a love for Ahl Bayt and commitment to honor their memories. It was like small tributaries merging into a gigantic sea. They proudly held afloat flags of their respective countries and marched in unison. Majority of them were Iranians, but many of them came from Lebanon, Azerbaijan, India, Pakistan, Turkey, Syria, Indonesia, and some European countries. Arbaeen can be a stimulating intellectual exercise and a cultural exchange between people of various nationalities and cultures that came together for a common cause. Hospitality and kindness redefined. The days were extremely hot. At every step along the way, there were friendly hosts urging walkers to sit for a sweetened black Iraqi tea and snacks. We stopped at one small stall where a 30 something husband and wife were serving tea and fresh dates to travelers. They belonged to a local village and worked in a farm to earn their money for livelihood. Serving the guest of Imam Hussain as salam, the man told, was a privilege for him. I save every month from my meager earning and accumulate all the savings to spend them on the guest on Arbaeen. I can starve myself to make sure that pilgrims have no reasons to complain. His words touched me deeply. We continued on the journey until the night fell and then halted to sleep for a few hours before resuming the walk. All tents were packed and there was hardly any space to lie down. The night was dark and cold as we looked for shelter. A few meters away, an elderly man said something in Arabic that we didn't understand. Then he gestured towards a small roadside tent and led us inside. Luckily, there was still some space left. It's amazing the way complete strangers show such kindness and compassion there. At the break of dawn, we woke up for prayers and then resumed the walk until afternoon prayers, with few hurried tea breaks in between. On the way, the buzz was electrifying as we edged closer to our destination. Iranian pilgrims recited Farsi elegies. Indian and Pakistani recited Urdu dirges. Pilgrims from Lebanon and Syria joined the chorus of Arabic latmiyas. All melodies combined to create a heartwarming ambience. Following the afternoon prayers, we walked briskly, perhaps out of excitement. We started counting the number of poles we left behind until a big billboard appeared on the way. Welcome to Karbala, written in Arabic. My heart skipped a beat. The moment had arrived. I was in Karbala, but the shrine was still a few miles away. It was an unbelievable crowd, barely a space to breathe. But who wants to breathe in Karbala? I told myself. I would proudly breathe my last in Bainul Harman, in between the shrines of two brothers. Slowly, very slowly, the crowd moved forward until the shrine of Abba Abdullah, Imam Hussain, appeared before my eyes. Welcome to Karbala. I was officially in heaven. Every thought disappeared from my mind. All I could think was of that fateful day 14 centuries ago when a small group of holy warriors confronted the army of mighty empire. The scene started appearing before my eyes. An infant child being taken to the battlefield. A young man fighting like a seasoned warrior. A standard bearer going to fetch water from a nearby stream and never coming back. Little children crying for thirst. And the beloved grandson of the apostle of God crying out loud, "Is there anyone to help me?" The question was not directed at the soldiers of Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Imam Hussain as-Salam expected no mercy from them. It was directed at his followers. It was directed at us. This march of millions from Najaf to Karbala every year is a response to that call, which still echoes in the hearts and minds of believers. As I stood in front of the shrine of the Masters of Martyrs, time came to a grinding halt. There were people from all sides trying to get closer to the shrine. I was standing next to Hussain ibn Ali, as-Salam. Everything else lost the meaning. I felt like a mighty warrior who had conquered the world. With much difficulty, I made my way through the crowd into Banul Harban, a small stretch between the shrines of brothers Imam Hussain salam and Abul Fazl al Abbas. This is an epicenter of the universe for the lovers of Ahl Bayt. I looked at Imam Hussain and then I looked at Abul Fazl al Abbas. I felt as if they were sitting together and watching us. I had never felt so emotional in my life. It was my first visit to Karbala, and here I was standing between the two brothers who changed the course of history with their unflinching faith and indomitable valor. I walked inside the shrine of Imam Hussain salam with a tornado of people and saw it jam packed. In one corner of the hall, I found a little space to stand and recited Ziyarat-e Arbaeen. I didn't want to leave that hall. I wanted to make it my home. Then I went to the shrine of Abul Fazl al Abbas, the standard bearer of Karbala, whose name was enough to leave enemies in disarray. As I slowly walked inside his shrine, I could see he still had the same aura. People screamed and cried, Ya Abul Fazl. There was hardly an eye that was not moist. One Iranian group recited the beautiful elegy inside the hall. Alamdar Nayamad, flag bearer, did not return. As children, we are often told to chant Ya Abul Fazl if we are afraid of anything or if we sense any danger. Here I was, inside the shrine of Abul Fazl, calling him, sharing my secrets, telling him about my ordeals. I know he listened. The 2 days in Karbala were life changing for me. I did not sleep at night. I sat in Banul Harman and gazed at the true shrines all night. The pilgrimage came to an end, the most beautiful 10 days of my life. I made a solemn pledge to return every year. The pledge of allegiance to the beloved, the meaning of which can be understood only by two lovers.